This, in my opinion, is one of the greatest office fragrances ever made. Let me just tell you why that is. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances, and this is a practical review of Penhaligon's Sartorial. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and I'm meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes in a course, as I don't think that they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. Penhaligon's Sartorial is an absolutely incredible fragrance that I've learned to love more and more since I first sampled it in my first impression comparison video where I compared it to Creed Viking. Learning about this fragrance, experiencing it has been incredible. I've learned about the fine nuances, all the little details. I learned that this fragrance is so much more than its beautiful lavender opening. This, in my opinion, as I teased in my introduction, is probably one of the greatest office fragrances for men that I ever came across. It's absolutely glorious. It really combines tradition, it really combines gentleman vibe with a nice modern edgy approach. It's probably one of the best barbershop fragrances that I've ever tried. As I mentioned before, I first sampled this fragrance in a first impression comparison video where I was comparing this to Creed Viking, another absolutely gorgeous scent. At that moment in time, I was searching for my next barbershop scent. I had recently let go of Beau de Jour by Tom Ford, which is absolutely beautiful in its own right, and I was looking for something a little bit more energetic, something a little bit more characteristic. I wanted something that emphasized the lavender. I was always a huge fan of lavender. I just liked that scent profile. I found it very relaxing yet invigorating. Even as a kid, I was drawn to those massive lavender bushes outside of our houses, the ones that were brimming with bees. Even in my drawers, you would easily find those little bags of lavender to refresh the clothing. I just always liked that smell, and in my mind, I really never associated it to any particular figure. It never came across as feminine, masculine, grandma-like. It was very, very traditional. Yes, I knew exactly what it smelled, but to me, it was like the quintessential flower smell, obviously behind the rose. And when I first smelled my first lavender-forward barbershop fragrance, I was immediately brought back to that time, playing with the dried up lavender, opening those bags, playing with that smell. It's a very, very distinctive memory of mine. I really, really like lavender. Again, it's calming, it's refreshing, and in my opinion, it's one of the best ways to start the day. The fragrance genre of fougères is often intertwined with barbershops, and indeed, some of the fragrances really offer characteristics from both styles, but Sartorial doesn't really smell like a forest. It doesn't really smell like a fern. There's very little green in here. This one here definitely is barbershop. It's very, very fresh, very invigorating. It feels like ice on your neck. It's like the best way to start the day. It really feels like a fresh cut. This is barbershop quintessential. Actually, to be completely honest, leaning totally into the name of the fragrance, this actually smells like a tailor shop. It smells like a gentleman's place. It smells like a place where men do their job. It smells like a man in a suit, very, very confident, very professional, able to deliver everything. It's classy, it's elegant, it's sophisticated, but at the same time, it has a little bit of dirtiness in there. It has a little bit of edginess. This is so beautiful. It really combines everything. It's a presentable fragrance to be worn every day at the office, but it has a little bit of character, a little bit of personality that definitely shows its head in the dry down. I absolutely love this fragrance. I keep discovering more details. This is a masterpiece by one of my favorite perfumers ever, Bertrand Duchaufour, and by golly, it really, really shows. This is incredibly complex. It's simple on the surface because when you smell it, you're like, well, this is a barbershop, but then it really, really shows a lot of details. There's fine leather touches in here, fine honey touches, wax touches. Everything is recalling the same image. Again, the inside of a tailor shop in England. This is quintessential gentleman. It's really, really beautiful, and it's basically graduated to be one of my favorite day starters of all time. I wear this a ton at the office just because it's so insanely likable. And Penhaligon's in general is a house that really merits my respect. I really, really like them. They have such a solid brand identity, so incredibly confident at what they do. They come across as elegant, sophisticated, and classy, but they also add a little pinch of irony, making them so, so special. To me, they perfectly represent the English gentleman, even the English humor. They're composed, but really funny deep down. I don't have much experience with the house in general, other than Sartorial, which I know and love. Yes, I've smelled other stuff here and there. I sampled a couple from the Porsche collection, but I definitely need to get more from them. And going back to Sartorial, this thing is absolutely incredibly well made. So incredibly well made, in fact, that it almost comes across as boring at times. Sometimes I'm looking at this on a shelf and I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should be moving on from this. Maybe I should be selling it off or trading it. But then I give it a wear and I'm instantly reminded of how classy it is, how full of detail it is, and how energetic and exciting it is. The dry down of this, which is something that I initially wrote off as kind of boring, slowly became my favorite part of the scent. Every time I wear this, I'm looking forward to that dry down. It's absolutely glorious. But we're going to talk about the scent profile and work experience after we cover the presentation. Presentation for Penhaligon's products is very iconic and very recognizable. It's very good. I would say upper mid-tier. These are expensive products, and I do feel that the presentation kind of lives up to the brand. I think that they're, again, very, very iconic. The bottles are extremely recognizable. They always have something tied around the neck, or they feature a head on an animal, like in the case of the portrait collection. Sartorial is classic. It looks really nice. It looks gentlemanly. It looks great on a bathroom shelf. It just looks great in a utilitarian point of view. I really like the brand. I really like the aesthetic. As I said before, the brand has a very, very solid brand identity. And this is, again, maybe I'm biased because I like the fragrance so much, but I think that this looks absolutely amazing. Starting off with the cap, it does feel a little bit hollow and cheap. It feels a little bit plasticky because, again, it is plastic inside. It snaps onto the bottle with a very faint and not reassuring click. But again, this little bow tie here, the identity of the brand is so, so cool. I really like it. I even like the transparent sphere on top. It just gives the cap a lot of character. But yeah, going back to the cheap feeling of the cap, as I said before, the manufacturing is really not that great. The cap is indeed plastic. This little bow tie here feels stuck on with something resembling double-sided tape. It's very loose, it's very fragile, and it's actually ugly. You can even see the tape behind the bow tie. It's really unfortunate because, again, Penhaligon's is a brand with a pedigree. It's a brand with an incredibly solid foundation. They're very, very confident, and they're not cheap. So they should not skimp on the caps. I'm wondering if the old caps had the same feel. I'm not really sure. I'm betting that the portrait collection caps are really, really nice. They feel made of metal. They feel very, very solid. At least the ones that I've sampled, at least the ones that I touched in the shop. Other than the cap though, the atomizer is surprisingly functional. It sprays a ton of liquid. It's easy to aim. It's really, really nice. Let's give this a couple sprays. This fragrance here is pretty much overspray proof. Let me just refresh it because it's that good, and I feel like wearing it for the evening. It gives you this fresh feeling, and worn in the office, it's perfect. It's like not offensive whatsoever, but it gives you a little bit of masculine edge. I've never gotten a compliment, I've never got a criticism, but people seem to appreciate it. I mean, how couldn't you? Wearing this at the office, you just come across as groomed, clean. It's like you walked in with a nice fresh shave, with a nice pressed shirt. It's just super, super elegant and professional. It immediately gives you a boost of confidence. It immediately demands some respect. This, in my opinion, is probably the ultimate office daytime fragrance. It's just that good. It's really remarkable. Anyway, going back to our presentation, as I said, the atomizer is a joy to use. It feels really high quality. It sprays well. The bottle is also really, really pretty. The glass is transparent. It has this nice old school vibe. On the back, you have it embossing. The labeling up front is exceptionally well made. It feels a little bit vintage. I really like the font. I really like the style, and it feels really nice stuck on. I've seen some bottles online, probably a little bit more vintage, where the front label is almost rubbing off. It's almost tearing off. In my opinion, that just adds to the charm. These bottles look amazing. They look at home at a barbershop. They look at home in a bathroom. These are like the ultimate men's accessory, like a classy man. This thing here just adds everything. It's really, really cool. I really applaud the presentation. As I said before, Penhaligon's just comes across as planted, confident. They know exactly who they are, what they do best. And again, the little bow tie is that little touch of irony. Super fun, really, really cool brand. Before closing off the presentation section, let's just touch upon price and value for money. I got this very bottle about a year ago at a Swiss discounter for about 115, 120 bucks. And I think that for that price, this offers incredible value. It's a beautiful scent, very, very versatile. You can wear it pretty much every day at the office. You can spray a crap ton of it on. You just come across as clean and professional. The longevity and general performance of this is good. It's not a beast mode fragrance by any stretch of the imagination, but it really does the job. Retail prices for Penhaligons are high, but if you can grab something like this at that price at a discounter, I feel that it's well worth it. Even at retail, I think that if you wear this every day, if you go through the whole bottle, I think that it could be worth it. It's unique, it smells high quality, it smells cared for, it smells smells like it's created with passion. And again, Bertrand Duchaufour, one of my favorite perfumers ever, really injected some magic in this one. But it's finally time to talk about the scent profile and wear experience for Penhaligon Sartorial. What does this actually smell like? To put it incredibly simply, this is like the ultimate barbershop scent. It's very fresh, very invigorating, very modern and metallic. At the same time though, it also smells like a tailor. There's a very specific steam accord in here, which is incredibly detectable once you first smell it. This is one of those fragrances that once you made up your mind on what it's supposed to smell like to you, you will not be able to unsmell it. You will not be able to interpret it in any other way. It's just so vivid, so clear, so bright. Once you spray this on in the morning, you feel ready to go. You feel ready for action. I've already talked about this fragrance in multiple videos as my options, and it's absolutely beautiful. This is like the perfect morning starter. But to get into a little bit more detail, because there's a ton of detail in here, there's a lot to talk about. When you first spray this on, you're immediately met with this beautiful, zingy, metallic blast of lavender. Lavender is the name of the game. Lavender is front and center, but there's so much more to it, even within the lavender itself. The lavender in here is very shaving foam-like. It has this incredibly smooth, rich, dense, velvety texture, which is also silky and a little bit bubbly. It's really reminiscent of the best shaving cream on the market. It's remarkable. It's almost photorealistic. It's so refreshing and invigorating. There's also a distinct metallic note, which is super detectable, and it's a thing that it gives the scent its modern cut, its modern edge. This thing comes across as timeless. It's traditional, but modern at the same time. Really, really beautiful. I could go on and on about this incredible lavender opening. Very, very refreshing, very texturized, very multi-layered. There's so much to it. It's definitely the protagonist here, and it's so prominent in fact that the first times you wear this, you might be fooled into thinking that the scent has low longevity, because once the lavender is gone, you feel that something is missing. But again, the more you wear this, the more you start uncovering the drydown. The drydown, in my opinion, is the true star of the show. It's what makes the scent so insanely unique. Together with that beautiful lavender burst in the opening, you also get the very, very iconic steam accord. Bertrand Duchaufour, I'm not really sure how he did it, but he really conveys the idea of a pressed shirt. He conveys the idea of something that came out of the dryer. It's been pressed into place, pressed into form, and it has this radiant warmth. It's really, really beautiful. It's so iconic. It's a mixture of powderiness and metallicness. It's very, very specific. This whole pressed shirt accord, I feel, permeates the scent profile in general. It's even detectable deep in the drydown. In the drydown, it mixes with other stuff. It mixes with the fine leathers. It mixes with the woodiness, but it's very, very detectable in the opening. And possibly, it's also what is giving the lavender that metallic edge, that metallic tinniness. It's beautiful and everything works well together. As I said before, and as I'll be repeating throughout this review many, many times, this scent appears fairly simple on the surface, but has a lot of stuff going on beneath it. And as that lavender top starts drying, you start picking up on the beautiful complexities that this thing offers. The scent starts becoming a little bit more funky, a little bit more animalic. I think that you start picking up on the leather component in here. At least I do. The leather in here is really not in your face. It's not prominent. This is not a leather forward fragrance, but the leather component is vivid, it's clear, and it's in the background. I can see it and I can almost feel it. It has a nice supple nature. It's nice and shiny. It feels like a leather accessory draped over a beautiful mahogany chair that's also incredibly shiny. Probably one of the things that in my mind is giving this leather its suppleness and texture, its shine, is some sort of a honey beeswax accord that I can clearly detect. It's giving the leather a lot of richness. It's injecting moisture into the pores of the leather. It's giving everything this layer of regalness. It feels expensive. It feels cared for. It feels like there's a lot of passion. It's like if you walk into a high-end barbershop, everything feels cared for. There's a lot of passion in the air. Looking at the man work, you can really perceive his craftsmanship. You sit down on this beautiful leather sofa, you look at the coffee table in front of you, everything is shining. Beautiful. This gives me exactly that sort of feeling, like a tailor, like a barber. It's really, really cool. It's basically second to none. This feeling is so invigorating and it really empowers you to do your best work during the day. And this honey beeswax accord, although very detectable, it's not prevalent. Everything is about balance. Nothing is sticking out. Everything is super, super classy. It almost smells like one of those aromatic waxes that gentlemen use on their mustaches and beard. Really, really cool. Again, I'm picturing the scene so vividly. I'm not necessarily picturing a tailor because I'm not super familiar with that. I'm more picturing a barbershop with like low 50s music, and the guy's just working and he has a slick cut and he's very passionate and he's like talking very softly and gently to his client. Everything just feels really, really at home, like a really homey environment, but professional. A lot of passion is in the air. I really can't stress this enough. As the fragrance changes and it really pushes all these beautiful images, the scent also dries down. And in my opinion, as I said before, the dry down is one of the best parts of this because it smells incredibly unique. It smells leathery, it smells musky, but also clean and dirty at the same time. It smells like the skin of a man that has been well groomed in the morning, but has been also working all day. It smells like a man that was busy. It smells like a man with a purpose. Again, it's clean and dirty at the same time. The man in this picture is still wearing a shirt, possibly even a suit. He's very, very elegant, sophisticated, and polite. He has impeccable manners. It's just that at the end of the day, he's a little bit tired. The day has been wearing on him, and he's developing a little bit of funk. Absolutely normal, and it's beautifully blending into his hair products, into his skincare products, and into his very high quality clothing. Really, really cool. That smell is so addicting. It has this manliness to it. It has this professional, confident demeanor. It smells a little bit leathery. It smells a little bit funky, a little bit musky, but also very, very clean at the same time. In the dry down, this scent starts becoming more and more powdery, like a very, very clean, refined leather. It smells human, but not in an obvious way, not in a stinky way. This is a high-class person that has been doing a job with passion, but again, he has been working. It's absolutely normal. Really, really cool. This is, in my opinion, as I said before, the best part of the scent because it's so incredibly unique. It's so well depicted. Again, I just can't help but imagine this old school barber working all day with a smile on his face, full of passion. He's still well dressed. His hands are impeccably clean. His hair is combed back and slick, but he has developed a little bit of a funkiness. He's still a very respectable person, even though he has a very simple job, a barber, that he's doing with a lot of passion. In the same vein, I imagine a traditional tailor. He's closing down his shop. He worked on his craft all day. He had a satisfying encounter and he's wrapping up to go home to his family. Really cool. This scent is so evocative of passion. And that's why I like Penhaligons. They don't come across as try-hard. They come across as very, very passionate. And this scent really pushes those boundaries like no other. The fragrance itself, being a Bertrand de Chafour, is incredibly well made, very dynamic, and beautifully covers the tone range, top to bottom, that is. The top is magnificent, very zingy, very metallic, very energetic and refreshing. The mid is definitely the star of the show, though. Those beautiful beeswax notes, everything is very supple, everything is very moisturized. And the base, although this is not necessarily base heavy, is still there. There's a little bit of woodiness, there's a little bit of muskiness, there's a little bit of leather. Really, really pretty. Again, this scent is refreshing. It's mid-tone and top heavy, and it lasts a really long time. The wear experience in general is absolutely amazing. It doesn't really transition a ton. It goes from that very metallic zinginess to that musky manliness, but it doesn't really change in tone. You're still within a barbershop. You're still within that vibe. This is linear, it's smooth, it transitions magnificently. It's a beautiful daily wear. Again, there's no jarringness, there's no surprises. It's just really, really well made. Touching upon practicalities for Penhaligon Sartorial, starting off with performance. The longevity, as I said before, is really good, especially if you take into account the whole scent profile top to bottom. Obviously, if you focus only on the lavender, you're gonna get about 2 hours. If you see the whole thing, and if you consider the musky dry down, it's really, really beautiful, and I get about 6, 7, or 8 hours. I get a full days of wear at the office. It's really, really pretty, and when I get home, I'm ready to transition to something else. This has a sublime wear experience. As I said before, it's very, very linear, not jarring at all. The projection upon initial spraying is very, very good. It's not necessarily room filling, but it's very loud. It's loud because it smells foreign, it smells clean. It smells like the name implies. It smells like you're putting on a beautifully, freshly pressed shirt, which is emanating cleanliness. The wear experience in general is to die for. Very, very beautiful. I have zero complaints about it. And if you have performance issues, just focus a little bit more on the dry down. Discover the dry down. It's so incredible. All in all, you have to consider that this is still Penhaligon's, a very elegant brand for an elegant man. The dry down is not beast mode, it's not radiating, but it's still very detectable. It just has a very specific scent profile that sits on the skin, and it's not really easily absorbed. It sticks around for a surprising amount of time. Paradoxically, maybe even counterintuitively, when you spray this on clothes, the longevity is really not that great because you're getting mostly that lavender metallic opening, which is absolutely beautiful, but you're missing out on all that musky manliness. That muskiness, I feel, requires really skin chemistry. It requires skin heat to really push off the skin. So you have to be attentive to this. I feel that this is an overall sprayer. On your shirt, it will give it a sense of freshness, but if you spray it also on skin, it will really give that extra edge. Super, super beautiful stuff. Highly recommended. When it comes to use cases and versatility, as you may imagine, Sartorial is an absolute banger. You can absolutely wear this every day at the office. No one will bat an eye. It's very, very likable, very mass appealing. You just come across as manly, masculine, and professional. And despite its fairly unique scent profile, especially if you move in close, it doesn't come across as too recognizable or samey. It just comes across as clean, professional, and confident. You could potentially wear this at the gym just because it gives a lot of motivation. It's very, very energetic. It's very bright and refreshing. But I think that the scent gives its best when worn on a certain attire. It really zones you in. It really has you focus. With an office attire, this really shines. And I'm not saying that this can't go casual, like jeans and a t-shirt, because it totally can. And maybe I'm reading through the marketing too much. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. But every time I wear this, I feel like giving the scent the respect it deserves. I feel like embodying that barber, that very passionate craftsmanship that really puts everything into perspective. Demographics-wise, I do think that this leans stereotypically masculine. That's absolutely okay. This is literally designed for the elegant British man, that craftsmanship full of passion. That being said though, if this was worn by a woman, it could potentially be very, very interesting. I'm not sure about the outcome. I've never smelled anything like this on a woman, but it has a nice, delicate nature to it, which could potentially work out. When it comes to age, surprisingly, I would recommend this to a wider range of people. Yes, it has a little bit more of a traditional, old school approach, but it's also very, very modern. Bertrand Ducheffour, again, pulled off some magic. This comes across as timeless. It's absolutely beautiful. I do think that you have to be a little bit more confident. You have to have a developed personality. But if you're that kind of person, you can pull this off basically from your late teens down to your grave. This is an absolutely incredible scent. It's one of the best daily wears out there. It might be rivaled by Invasion Barbare, by MDCI, but I still have to try that. Until then, this one here, I think that it will stay in my collection for the long run. I'm not really sure how to talk about the imagery and narration department. Penhaligon's is not one of those houses that is focused on telling a story or to telling a narrative. But in this case, I feel that I really drank the Kool-Aid. I'm really picturing that image of a tailor shop or of a barber shop. Again, I'm picturing more than the place, I'm picturing the person, the type of person wearing this. This is a confident person. This is a passionate person. This is a person that is generally content and very satisfied with his life. He knows that he's delivering simple products with passion. He knows that he's not going to change the world, but he's there to live every moment with a lot of integrity. This is exactly what I get from Sartorial. And despite that very vivid image, I don't find this scent distracting at all. Actually, I feel empowered to be that person, to represent that person, to look at the world in a different perspective, to look at the little things, to be happy about the little things. This is absolutely glorious. I love wearing this. I love pushing it into the background. It's such a beautiful charm to my day. It brings me happiness. It brings me serenity. This is incredible. It's really good. It's one of the best fragrances for daily wear that I ever tried. But now some options for my reviewed fragrance. In the case of Sartorial by Penhaligon's, I really wanted to lean into the gentleman vibe. Masculine fragrances, yes, but with a little bit of a delicate edge. The first one that came to mind, it really reminds me of my grandpa. This one here is Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum. This is one of the best fragrances that I've tried this year. It's amazing. I love it. And it gives you this old school vibe, which is so timeless, so well made. This manages to take the mood and vibe of something like Sartorial, moving the scent profile in a completely different direction. This is very citrus forward. The bergamot in here is really nice. It's oily, it's green, it's pungent. And the scent dries down to a very beautiful resinous core. It's long lasting, it has great performance, but objectively, it dries down to a little bit more of a traditional style. This leans more old school. It's not as modern as Sartorial, it's not as metallic, it's not as refreshing. This is something that I picture a dad wearing, maybe even a grandpa. I associate this scent to my grandpa. He was always impeccably dressed, even in his retirement. I remember going to visit him in Miami. He would wake up super early, eat his all-brand cereal, read The Economist, put on his little hat, and go on a walk on the beach. Everything about him was like pragmatic, utilitarian, classy, and sophisticated. This is the scent that I remember him for. He wasn't wearing this specifically, but this is something that I associate to that sort of persona. It has a very planted feel. It's very, very beautiful, very confident. I love wearing this, and maybe it shows my age, but I really, really like this scent. Maybe because it really triggers that sort of memory. It's really, really pretty, and unless you're a late teen, early 20, in that case, this might come across as a little bit too stuffy. You owe yourself a favor, go out and test this out. I sampled this way too late in my game. I discovered this way too late because I was a little bit snobby. I was snobby about designers. This is such an amazing product. It's so highly recommended. The second fragrance that I want to talk about was given to me as a present by my buddy Mo from the channel Sense for Thought. This one here is Roja Scandal. He gave this to me when I visited him in London. It's absolutely amazing. He said that I would like it, and indeed, I love it. This is basically a true fougere. It's not a barbershop. It has a little bit of a barbershop vibe just because it comes across as old school and clean, but this smells like a forest. It smells like a fern. This is like the more perfumey version of Amouage Bracken Man. I really, really like it. It's also incredibly powerful, very, very long lasting, and it smells so refined, so detailed as most Rojas do. Roja is not necessarily one of those houses that comes across as super creative. We are all aware of that. They take existing formulas and copy them, but they objectively make them better. This is like the ultimate rendition of this style scent. It's very, very beautiful, very elegant, very English. I still prefer Amouage Bracken Man just because it has a little bit more density, it has a little bit more body with that incense, but this just comes across as incredibly well put together. This comes across as more gentlemanly. This is so good that my dentist really commented on it. He was like, wow, that fragrance is really, really good. What is that? So yeah, I got a compliment from my dentist while wearing Roja Scandal. It's great. It's not easy to get. It's not super cheap. We all know that. But if you can snag this at a good price at discounters or maybe even secondhand on some sort of a marketplace, this is very much highly recommended. If you're into traditional fougères, if you're into traditional masculine fragrances, this is not something that you should skip on. You should at least sample it. Sample it and evaluate if it's worth the money for you. I like it. Again, thank you, Mo, for giving this to me because this is absolutely amazing. My last fragrance option, as per usual, is a little bit of a weird choice. This time though, it's not stinky, unwearable, or too uber niche. This one here is actually one of the best offerings from one of the oldest houses in Florence. This one here is from Spezierie Palazzo Vecchio. This one here is Acqua Mirabile Odorosa. I got this fragrance last April of this year when I visited Tuscany on my motorbike for vacation. I basically popped into the actual shop Spezierie Palazzo Vecchio in Florence and immediately picked out this fragrance because of the name. Acqua Mirabile Odorosa is actually the original name for perfume. Acqua Mirabile Odorosa translated means admirable smelly water, and it was sold in pharmacies. It's really, really cool, and I wanted a piece of this tradition. I bought it completely on faith, and I love the fragrance actually. It smells very, very masculine, but in a very delicate manner. It has a lot of florals in here. There's a lot of rose. It comes across as very, very powdery. It's really nice. It has a nice density, it has a lot of tradition. It actually smells like something designed to cover bad smells because probably that's what it was for. This was sold in pharmacies, as I said before. It was designed as a mood lifter to cover bad smells, to cover illness, and to kind of like be like a very primitive form of aromatherapy. Very, very interesting. I don't wear this a ton objectively because it's very, very traditional in stance and scent profile. It's incredibly powdery, very, very potent, and there's a ton of rose. So I really have to be in the mood for it. But also because it's a small bottle and kind of gets hidden on the shelf, so I tend to forget about it. I was looking at fragrances to showcase as options, and this one here immediately popped up because it is surprisingly comparable to something like Penhaligon's Sartorial. It has a lot of masculinity, but it's also very, very delicate in nature. I actually really like and recommend this brand, Spezierie Palazzo Vecchio. It's a family-run business that still produces fragrances in the old traditional Italian way. These are actually also super affordable, and they smell very, very unique and high quality. So basically, it's a no-brainer. If you find yourself in Florence, hop in the shop. It's a beautiful experience. They're super, super kind, and it's just a wonderful traditional experience. Acqua Mirabile Odorosa is a beautiful fragrance. It might not be for everyone. It's a little bit stuffy and old school, but it's a piece of history. I really recommend trying this out. It's absolutely amazing. But back to Penhaligon Sartorial for my final recommendations and overview. If it wasn't clear enough, I really like this fragrance. I really can't stress enough how well designed it is. And I guess I'm just a sucker for Bertrand Ducheffour fragrances. They're so well designed, so well made, so complex and simple at the same time. Easy to grasp, but they have so much stuff going on. Recently, I reviewed Café Tabac by Estevenustas, and I raved the hell out of that too, because again, it's a Bertrand Ducheffour, and it's so beautiful. This one here is like the ultimate daytime scent, in my opinion, the ultimate office scent. It's refreshing, it's professional, it's confident, it's timeless. If you're a fan of barbershop style fragrances, if you're looking for a little bit more of a modern approach, if you're a fan of lavender, this one here is basically a no-brainer. It's almost blind buy safe. I would still not necessarily recommend blind buying this because, well, I don't recommend blind buying anything, but this is really good. It's not offensive, it's likable, it's confident, it's a terrific wear. The only caveat or recommendation for those sampling or even buying Penhaligon Sartorial is to give the scent some time. Do not focus only on the lavender opening. I know, it's beautiful, it's mesmerizing, but there's so much more beneath that. The scent has amazing longevity. It just transitions very slowly into something that needs to be discovered. I know that I'm gushing all over this, but every time I wear this, I feel like delivering the best version of myself. I feel like pushing more passion into projects, like pursuing more small projects, being content about life. This thing here puts the world in a different perspective. It shines a light on the little things. It shines a light on things to be content about. It's absolutely amazing. Maybe it's just me, but it really speaks to me. It just puts me in such a good, productive mood. I go to work, I'm serene, I'm passionate, I come home, I relax. This is Zen, but in a productive way. It's very particular. It brings me to the 50s. It brings me to the 50s and 60s when people were happy about their simple jobs, simple lives. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and it helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more reviews to come, many more fun fragrances to showcase. I can't wait. See you in the next one and cheers.